Isabella Vance tossed a $10 million check in my face. She said Julian Astor was back. She said it was compensation for the last 3 years and that I should get out. I looked at her face, cold as a statue, and I didn't cry or scream. I couldn't even stop myself from laughing. Right in front of her, I picked up the check and gave it a loud, wet kiss. Thank you, boss. I wish you and Mr. Astor a lifetime of happiness and a house full of kids. She froze. I took her money and started a company called Grit and Grind Experiences. I never expected that the first patient to come knocking on my door, money in hand, would be the man she'd been dreaming of all this time. I opened my eyes to a stunningly beautiful face and a $10 million check. Alex, we're getting a divorce. Isabella Vance's voice was like ice in December. Julian is back. Take this money and get out of this house. My head buzzed as a flood of memories that weren't mine poured in. A trophy husband for a powerful family. A 3-year marriage that was a complete sham. An Ice Queen CEO of a wife who had an old flame she could never forget. I got it. I'd been dropped into another life. I was now the tragic main character of this story, the one who was supposed to weep, beg, refuse to let go, and finally be dragged out by security. But as I stared at the long string of zeros on that check, my heart started to pound. A rich woman, a breakup fee, and my freedom back. Wasn't this the exact life I'd always dreamed of? Isabella had a whole speech of humiliating remarks ready, waiting to see me break down. Instead, I snatched the check. I held it up to the light, carefully inspecting the watermark, even blowing off dust that wasn't there. It was real. Isabella was completely stunned. I looked up, my face beaming with a joy I couldn't contain. In front of her and the house manager, I planted a loud smack right on the check. The sound echoed in the silent room. Thank you, Ms. Vance. I bowed deeply, my voice full of energy. I wish you and Mr. Astor all the best, a long and happy life together, and may you have children soon. Her perfect lips parted, but not a single word came out. She looked like she had seen a ghost. I didn't care. I turned and walked out, my stride more confident than ever. The original Alex truly lived a pathetic existence in this house. Besides an old phone, he didn't own a single thing. Save me the trouble of packing. Ma'am, the house manager's hesitant voice came from behind me. He seems very happy. Isabella didn't answer. I could just imagine the thunderous look on her face. She thought this was the ultimate humiliation for me. But for me, it was angel investing. I walked out of the gates of that oppressive mansion and glanced back. The sun was shining, the air was fresh. $10 million. How many taco trucks could I open with that? No, I was thinking too small. I was going to pull off something so big, so audacious, that she would regret giving me only $10 million. I used a tiny fraction of that money to rent a rundown office. It was on the top floor of an old building downtown. The roof leaked in the summer, and the windows let in drafts all winter. I spent $20 on a plastic sign and hung it on the door. Grit and Grind Experiences, Inc. We specialize in helping you pay to suffer. The company's sole employee was Walter, the old guy I hired from the bodega downstairs to watch the door. His salary was $3,000 a month, plus a free lunch. Every day, he looked at me like I was a lost cause, a kid who'd taken a wrong turn in life. Kid, Walter said, squatting by the door with a cigarette dangling from his lips. What exactly does this company of yours do? When people ask, I don't even know what to tell them. I pointed to the price list I'd printed out and taped to the wall. It detailed the company's first flagship products. Blue collar for a day, construction site experience. Package price, $100,000. Kitchen confidential, the dishwasher's plight. Package price, $80,000. Call center hell, the ultimate customer abuse package. Package price, $150,000. Package features, one-on-one professional guidance, fully immersive experience, guaranteed to leave the client physically and mentally exhausted, leading to spiritual enlightenment. Walter choked on a puff of smoke and coughed for a solid minute. Crazy. The whole damn world's gone crazy, he wheezed. Who would pay to do this stuff? I leaned back in a used office chair I'd bought, playing online poker on a brand new laptop paid for by a sliver of that $1 million check. Just wait, Walter, just you wait, I said. There are more rich and bored people in this world than you could possibly imagine. A week after opening, we hadn't seen a single customer. Walter had given up on trying to talk sense into me. His greatest pleasure now was watching the clock, waiting to see how long I'd last. Alex, if this doesn't work out, you should seriously think about that taco truck. I'll even work the grill for you. Not yet. I had just played a winning hand when the office door creaked open. A handsome man in a designer suit, with a completely guileless air about him, peeked his head in. His skin was pale, his eyes were clear, carrying a kind of innocence that suggested he'd never known a hard day in his life. He curiously surveyed my bare-bones office, his gaze finally landing on the price list on the wall. Then his eyes lit up. They shone like an explorer discovering a new continent. "Excuse me, can you really pay to haul bricks here?" My heart skipped a beat. Wasn't this Julian Astor, the man Isabella Vance cherished so much she was afraid he might break if she held him too tight, or melt if she held him in her mouth? I'd seen his picture on the original Alex's phone. My mind raced. I shot up from my chair, dropped the mouse, and smoothed out my wrinkled shirt. I put on my most professional, most sincere smile. "Sir, you've come to the right place," I declared. "Here, you can not only haul bricks, but you can also experience being verbally eviscerated by clients and being complained about until you question your own existence." Julian grabbed my hand, his grip surprisingly strong with excitement. "This is perfect, absolutely perfect," he exclaimed, bouncing on his feet like a child. "My father always says I've never known hardship, that I don't understand the struggles of the common man. I can finally prove him wrong." I gripped his hand back, my smile growing even wider. "Sir, rest assured," I said, "after you experience our programs, you will have a brand new appreciation for the word struggle. A cash cow delivered right to my doorstep, and a nuclear weapon that could be aimed directly at my ex-wife." This was a deal I had to take. I signed Julian up for a contract, the Construction Star Premium Experience Package. Price, $100,000 a day. The fee was officially for one-on-one top-tier safety instruction and mental fortitude coaching services. Julian paid without batting an eye and couldn't stop thanking me. "Alex, man, you're a great guy." I clapped him on the shoulder. "Julian, you're going to thank me for this." I specifically chose the construction site right next to the Vance Industries headquarters. The view from Isabella's CEO office window was perfect. I spent $10 on a standard hard hat and $5 on a can of gold spray paint. After a bit of work, a glittering golden hard hat was born. I handed it to Julian. "Julian, my man, this is our company's custom Foreman Pro Max Edition hard hat, specially designed to highlight your distinguished VIP status." Julian put it on, admiring it from every angle in a reflective window. "Alex, how do I look? Cool, right?" "Cool doesn't even cover it. You look amazing." And so, in the most bustling district of downtown, a handsome man wearing an Armani shirt, limited edition sneakers, and a golden hard hat began his clumsy but joyful career in manual labor. He worked with incredible enthusiasm. Sure, he'd drop one brick and break two others, and he'd trip 3 times on a single trip, but I provided him with the best possible soundtrack, Uptown Funk. Moving to that rhythm, he felt like the king of the construction site. And me? I was sitting under a large umbrella at the site entrance, legs crossed, sipping an ice-cold Coke, and supervising his progress on my phone. "Julian, lift with your legs, not your back. That's it. Put your wrist into it. Imagine that brick is your enemy. Beautiful. Do it again." At 3 in the afternoon, a line of black sedans pulled up smoothly to the curb. I knew the main event was here. Isabella Vance, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, was laughing with an important client as they stepped out of the car. She habitually glanced up at the corporate empire she had built with her own 2 hands. And then, her gaze froze. She saw him, the man covered in dirt, but smiling with pure, unadulterated joy. The face she had spent 3 years dreaming about. Julian. And next to the brick-hauling dreamer, the man with his legs crossed, drinking a Coke and pointing fingers, was me, her ex-husband, whom she had just dismissed with $10 million. The smile on Isabella's face vanished instantly. She said something to her client. Then, radiating a murderous aura, she strode towards me in her high heels. "Alex." Her voice could have frozen water. "What are you doing here?" I put down my Coke, pulled the contract from my folder, and handed it to her with a look of pure innocence. "Ms. Vance, what a coincidence." I pointed to Julian. "This is my client, Mr. Astor. He's currently experiencing life and appreciating the joy of labor." I tapped the signature on the contract. "The customer is king. I'm just providing a professional service." Just then, Julian spotted her. He excitedly dropped his bricks and ran over, his golden hard hat bobbing, his face streaked with sweat. "Isabella, what are you doing here?" He pointed proudly at himself. "Look, I can do real work now. Alex is the best. He even got me a custom gold hat." Isabella's expression was beyond horrified. Her idealized image of the melancholic, elegant, untouchable man of her dreams was now acting like a rich idiot, calling me his buddy, and having the time of his life doing manual labor. The intense clash between her fantasy and this reality caused a visible crack to appear on her eternally stoic face. She probably couldn't comprehend how things had spiraled into this. Isabella scheduled a private meeting with me. It was at the same upscale restaurant where we had our one and only dinner after signing our marriage certificate. She remained perched on her throne, posture perfect. 5 million. She slid another check across the table. Leave this city, and you're never to contact Julian again. 3 years ago, that amount of money might have swayed me. But now, looking at that check, I just found it laughable. I pushed it back to her. Ms. Vance, I'm a legitimate businessman. I believe in the sanctity of a contract. I leaned back in my chair and said slowly, besides, I'm not interested in such small change anymore. Isabella's brow furrowed. It was the first time she had ever shown an expression of losing control in front of me. I smiled and told her, Julian has already pre-booked all of our company's experience packages for the next quarter. The total value far exceeds $5 million. He's my VIP client now. I have no reason to push him away. Her authority had been publicly challenged for the first time, and by the person she despised the most. She was discovering that money, her infallible weapon, seemed to have no effect on me. What do you really want? She asked, her voice tight with suppressed anger. Just then my phone rang. The caller ID showed it was Julian. Right in front of her, I put the call on speaker. Alex, my man, I moved 300 bricks today. If my dad finds out, he's going to be so proud of me. Julian's excited and jubilant voice filled the air. I smiled into the phone. That's awesome, Julian. Keep up the great work tomorrow. Alex, I want to try something else next. I want to experience being a customer service rep and getting totally ripped into by angry callers. Can we do that? I glanced at Isabella, whose face was growing darker by the second, and the smile on my lips widened. No problem, Julian. Our latest trial by fire experience package is tailor-made for you. The original price is $300,000, but for you, a special friendship price of $288,888. For good luck. Thanks, Alex. You're the best. I'll wire the money right now. The call ended with Julian's satisfied cheer. I put my phone away and shrugged at Isabella. You see, Ms. Vance? It's your long-lost love who can't stay away from me, not the other way around. Isabella stared at me, her expression shifting from anger to utter disbelief. She had probably lived for 26 years without ever meeting someone as shameless as me. Her entire understanding of the world was being upended. Seeing her look of existential confusion brought me immense satisfaction. What you considered a humiliation was my startup capital. The man you thought was my rival is my golden goose. Isabella, this game has only just begun. I even started to wonder if the perfect, melancholic Julian of her memory and the happy-go-lucky brickhauler before me were actually the same person. Her feelings toward me seemed to be changing. I became Julian's exclusive life coach. I led him through a comprehensive tour of the world's hardships. I arranged for him to work as a barista at the coffee shop in the lobby of Isabella's corporate building. On his first day, he spilled a scalding hot Americano on a client worth hundreds of millions. Just as the client was about to erupt in fury, Julian bowed a full 90 degrees, apologizing profusely while pulling a thick wad of cash from his own wallet and stuffing it into the man's hands. Sir, I am so sorry. Please take this to get your suit dry cleaned. If it's not enough, I'll give you more. The client stared at the cash in his hand, which was worth more than the suit itself, and was left utterly speechless. The story became the joke of the financial district for a week. Next, I got him a job as a security guard at a top-tier business gala that Isabella was attending. He had learned his lessons well from me, standing ramrod straight with a fierce look in his eyes, radiating a do-not-approach vibe. The effect was spectacular. Several greasy executives who wanted to schmooze with Isabella and discuss partnerships were repelled by his intimidating glare. Isabella didn't close a single deal that night. These bizarre incidents were filmed by bored onlookers, set to dramatic music, and posted online. Hashtag billionaire son tries life. Hashtag hardest working rich kid. Hashtag that guy in Armani delivering food. Julian went viral. And with him, my grit and grind experiences company shot to fame. Wealthy people lined up at my door, throwing money at me and specifically requesting that I reform their own good-for-nothing kids. My business expanded from one-on-one sessions to group programs. The company moved from the dilapidated office to a Class A office space downtown. Walter became my director of administration with a monthly salary of $30,000. He wore a suit every day and walked with a new sense of purpose. Now he brags to everyone he meets, our CEO, Mr. Carter. He's a business genius. Isabella's best friend, a wealthy socialite herself, showed Isabella the trending videos on her phone, laughing hysterically. "Isabella, you have to see this. Your old flame is a real piece of work. But I have to say, your ex-husband is a damn genius. Who else could turn this into a business?" Isabella watched the video. In it, I was patiently teaching Julian how to mop a floor, while Julian looked at me with a face full of pure admiration. A complicated mix of emotions churned within her. She realized that when Julian was with me, he radiated a genuine, goofy happiness that she had never seen before. A happiness he never had when he was with her. Anger, numbness, helplessness. And finally, a ridiculous hint of amusement bubbled up. For the first time, she proactively investigated everything about Alex Carter. What she found was not the dependent, timid trophy husband who lived in her shadow. Instead, she discovered a sharp, unconventional stranger who navigated the world with ease. She started trying to rescue Julian. She found him and pleaded with him to stop this nonsense. But Julian just looked at her with a serious expression. "Isabella, you don't understand my desire for self-improvement. Alex is helping me grow." Isabella was completely shut down. I watched from the sidelines as a clear rift, created by me, formed between her and her perfect memory. The feeling was exquisite. She probably never imagined that one day I would be the cause of her headaches. And this was just the beginning. Success attracts attention. My company's fame naturally caught the eye of certain people. For instance, Isabella's arch-nemesis in business, Dominic Cross. Dominic was the CEO of another publicly traded company. He was young and successful, but also petty and ruthless. He had been competing with Isabella for years and was always one step behind. He noticed me and Julian. In his eyes, I, the ex-husband, was the perfect tool to humiliate Isabella, and Julian was the pawn that could make her lose her composure. When Dominic found me, I was in the middle of interviewing a new batch of experienced officers. He got straight to the point, his attitude arrogant. "You're Alex Carter, right? I know who you are. The money you used to start your company came from Isabella Vance." He smirked. "I'll give you double whatever she paid you. Do something for me." I gestured for him to sit and poured him a glass of water myself. "Mr. Cross, please go on. There's a charity gala next week. Isabella and Julian will both be there. I want you to arrange for Julian to make a complete fool of himself that night." Dominic's face twisted into a malicious grin. "Make him look like an idiot on stage. Embarrass the hell out of Isabella and the Astor family. When it's done, this is yours." He held up 5 fingers. $5 million. A sycophantic smile immediately spread across my face. "Mr. Cross, you're too generous." I leaned in, acting like his new best friend. "Money talks. Consider me your brother from another mother. Forget just embarrassing him. For that price, I'll arrange for him to streak across the stage." Dominic, convinced I was a greedy, unprincipled fool, completely bought my act. He patted my shoulder, satisfied, and left. The moment he turned his back, the smile vanished from my face. I hit the stop recording button on my phone. I might be a bit of a scoundrel, but I don't screw over my clients. Especially not a client as wonderful and cluelessly wealthy as Julian. I immediately called him. "Julian, my man, you in the mood for something really exciting? I've got an ultimate experience project. You want to challenge yourself?" "What is it, Alex?" "How about this? In front of hundreds of business titans, you play the role of a domineering CEO and verbally conquer the room." On the other end of the line, Julian's breathing grew heavy with excitement. "You think I can do it, Alex? With me in your corner? How could you not?" I began his so-called special training. The training consisted of making him binge-watch cheesy, low-budget TikTok dramas like the alpha billionaire's reluctant bride and the CEO's secret love child all day. Julian watched with rapt attention, diligently taking notes. Isabella quickly found out that I was taking Julian to the charity gala. She panicked. She must have assumed I had taken Dominic's money and was going to destroy Julian. For the first time, she called me, her tone almost pleading. "Alex, I'm begging you. I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't take Julian there. Don't ruin him." Hearing the tremor in her voice was ironic. In 3 years of marriage, she had never once spoken to me in that tone. I just chuckled softly. "Ms. Vance, don't you enjoy a good show? Just sit back and watch." Hanging up the phone, I looked out the window at the Vance Industries tower, knowing the real show was about to begin. The charity gala was a sea of glittering gowns and sharp tuxedos, a gathering of the city's elite. Dominic and Isabella were seated near each other, the air thick with tension. All eyes, subtly or not, drifted towards Julian, who was sitting next to me. Everyone was waiting for the punchline. They were all eager to see what kind of mess the legendary billionaire's idiot son would make tonight. Dominic kept shooting me glances that screamed, "Everything is under control." Halfway through the dinner, it was time for a pitch from environmental startup. The founder was speaking passionately, but the tycoons in the audience were clearly bored. Dominic gave me a subtle nod. I knew it was time for my star to take the stage. I patted Julian's shoulder. "Julian, you're up. Remember the lines we rehearsed." Julian took a deep breath, adjusted his bow tie, and strode onto the stage with the confidence of a king. He took the microphone from the presenter and cleared his throat. The entire hall fell silent. Julian gathered his emotions, and, in the most commanding tone he had learned from his cringy drama binge, he began. "This project, I'm funding it." He waved his hand dramatically, pointing at the stunned founder. "Woman, you have successfully captured my attention." Puffed. Someone in the audience couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. In seconds, the entire room erupted in laughter. A triumphant, vicious smile spread across Dominic's face. Isabella's face went deathly pale. She looked like she was about to leap out of her seat. But then, the unexpected happened. The startup's founder, a woman in her 30s with a Ph.D., wasn't offended at all. Instead, her eyes lit up as she stared at Julian. She rushed onto the stage and grabbed his hand excitedly. "Sir, are you serious about investing? You have incredible vision. I have the utmost admiration for investors like you, who are so sincere and direct." I found out later that the good doctor was a die-hard fan of billionaire romance novels. Julian's ridiculously cheesy line had landed squarely in her sweet spot. On the spot, she announced that she would accept Julian's personal investment and was willing to offer a portion of her equity to invite Vance Industries to co-develop the project. The tables turned in an instant. A project that no one had cared about a minute ago was now the hottest ticket in the room, all thanks to Julian's alpha CEO moment. Isabella was dumbfounded. Dominic's face was as black as coal. Furious, he stormed the stage and snatched the microphone. "Don't be fooled, everyone. This is a complete sham. It's all a setup orchestrated by Alex Carter. He's just using this idiot to prop up Isabella Vance." The guests began to murmur among themselves. I slowly stood up and walked over to the sound control booth. "Not so fast, Mr. Cross." I took out my phone and plugged it into the sound system. "I have a recording I'd like everyone to hear." The next second, Dominic's sinister voice echoed through the banquet hall. "I want you to arrange for Julian to make a complete fool of himself. Make him look like an idiot on stage. I'll pay you whatever it takes." The recording was crystal clear. The color drained from Dominic's face, shifting from black to white to a sickly green. He collapsed on the stage, looking utterly defeated. Security quickly arrived and escorted him out. The hall was dead silent. Then, it exploded into thunderous applause. I stood on the stage, perfectly composed. Julian stood beside me, wearing a "wasn't I awesome just now?" expression, begging for praise. Isabella sat at her table, staring blankly at me. She watched as the ex-husband she had utterly despised diffused a crisis, protected her old flame, saved her company, and even took down her arch-nemesis, all with a casual air. She realized she had never truly known me. In the 3 years she'd ignored me, how much of this man's true self had she missed? Her world, in that moment, completely shattered. After the gala, Isabella's worldview was rebuilt from the ground up. Dominic Cross was swiftly investigated for corporate sabotage and malicious manipulation and was utterly ruined. Vance Industries had effortlessly eliminated a major threat. And the architect of it all, incredibly, was me. She became obsessed with understanding me. She went to Julian, hoping to glean some insight. But Julian couldn't string 3 sentences together without mentioning Alex. "Isabella, you have no idea. Alex is a genius. He knows everything. Alex said I have a natural talent, that I was born to be an alpha CEO. Next, Alex is going to take me to experience being a food delivery guy. I think that'll be a real challenge, too." Listening to Julian's naive and excited chatter, Isabella was struck with a stark realization. What she loved was perhaps just a phantom from her memory, a melancholic boy who needed her protection. Not this man-child in front of her who got giddy over moving 300 bricks. He was sweet, he was simple, but he was not her partner. The thick filter through which she viewed her, one that got away, had been shattered by reality. She started having insomnia. Every time she closed her eyes, my face would appear. Not the composed man at the gala, but the invisible man who had lived in her house for the past 3 years. She began to recall the details she had ignored. The time her stomach ulcer flared up, and she was curled up on the sofa in pain. It was Alex who had silently brought her a glass of warm water and medicine, placed it within her reach, and quietly walked away. The nights she came home late from work, exhausted. The door would open to a single, warm light left on in the entryway, and a bowl of still warm soup would always be on the dining table. She had always assumed the housekeeper made it, until one day she came home early and found me in the kitchen, wearing an apron, clumsily preparing the ingredients. All she had said then was a cold, "You don't have to do this in the future." After that, the bowl of soup never appeared again. The everyday moments she had once disdained and discarded were, she now realized, the truest signs of care. On an impulse, she drove to my company's building. She saw me and Walter, the two heads of the company, squatting without a shred of dignity by a planter outside, playing a game of chess. I made a bad move and took it back, and Walter chased me around, yelling playfully. I was laughing like a carefree child. The sunlight bathed me, and I looked so alive, so free. It was a side of me she had never seen. She wanted to step forward to call my name, but her feet felt like they were encased in lead. For the first time, she had no idea how to face me. Back at her office, her assistant brought in the latest business intelligence report. Ms. Vance, that grit and grind experiences company, just secured a $30 million round of funding led by Apex Ventures. Their market valuation is already over $100 million. Isabella's hand trembled. The $10 million she had given me, I had not only paid it back in spirit, but I had used it as a launch pad to leverage a $100 million valuation. And she, the benevolent giver, had been left far, far behind. She had lost, utterly and completely. That night, she locked herself in her office, watching the rivers of traffic outside, her mind filled with my image. Isabella finally let go of all her pride. She changed out of her power suit and into the plainest dress in her closet. Without any makeup, she went to my new, upgraded office. The receptionist stopped her. "Ma'am, do you have an appointment?" "Mr. Carter's schedule is fully booked this afternoon." Isabella froze for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. There was a time when I needed to book an appointment 3 days in advance through her assistant just to see her. How the tables had turned. "Tell him Isabella Vance is here." I came out of my office shortly after. I looked at her, a little surprised, but not much. "Ms. Vance, to what do I owe the pleasure?" I invited her in my office and poured her a glass of water myself, the exact same gesture I had offered Dominic Cross. It was professional, polite, and distant. She clutched the glass, her knuckles white. The office was terrifyingly quiet. After a long time, she finally managed to speak, her voice raspy in a way that was foreign even to her. "Alex, can we what?" I asked, feigning ignorance, a polite business smile plastered on my face. Her face flushed, as if it took all her strength to say the words. "Get back together." I laughed as if I'd heard the funniest joke in the world. "Ms. Vance, are you kidding me?" I pulled a freshly printed document from my drawer and pushed it in front of her. "Ms. Vance, are you here to experience our company's latest Rekindle the Flame service package?" Isabella looked down. The document's title was written in bold. Service Agreement for the Ex-Wife Reconciliation Experience Package. Below was a clearly priced list of services. Bronze package, 1 dinner together. Service includes, male party is responsible for restaurant booking, standard not to exceed $50 per person, and will maintain friendly conversation during the meal, no discussion of private emotional matters. Service fee, $100,000. Silver package, 1 weekend date. Service includes, male party will plan the itinerary. Activities include, but are not limited to a walk in the park, a movie, and will maintain a gentlemanly demeanor throughout. Service fee, $500,000. Gold package, attempt to interact as a couple for 1 week. Service includes daily good morning and good night texts, 3 non-work-related phone calls, 1 instance of hand-holding, duration not to exceed 5 minutes. Service fee, $3,000,000. Diamond Supreme package, price available upon consultation. The color of Isabella's face shifted from red to white, then from white to a sickly green. It was a spectacular show. She was shaking with anger and shot up from her seat. "Alex, what do you take me for?" I maintained my professional smile, unfazed. "A client, of course." I held up my hands in a gesture of sincerity. "Ms. Vance, we are now in an equal business partnership. We have to keep things professional, especially since we're already divorced." She stared at me, searching my eyes for any hint that this was a joke. But she was disappointed. There wasn't a trace of lingering affection or emotion in my eyes, only business and price tags. For her, this was more potent than any insult. She eventually sank back in her chair, as if all her strength had been drained away. She gritted her teeth, pointed at the contract, and squeezed out 2 words from between them. "I'll buy." She pointed to the cheapest one, the bronze package. I decisively took a stamp from my pen holder and stamped the contract with a solid thud. "A pleasure doing business with you, Ms. Vance. Please proceed to the front desk to make the payment. We accept cash, wire transfer, and credit cards." Just then, the office door opened. Julian's head popped in. "Alex, I'm here. Are we going to try out food delivery tomorrow?" He saw Isabella, and his eyes lit up. "Oh, hey, Isabella, you're here too. Are you here for an experience? What are you going to try?" Isabella's face turned a deep shade of crimson. She had never been so mortified in her entire life. "I strictly adhered to the obligations of the bronze package contract. Time, Friday, 7:00 p.m. Location, a bustling, hole-in-the-wall ramen joint in a less-than-glamorous part of town. This was a place I had suggested countless times over the past 3 years, a suggestion Isabella had always met with a dismissive eye roll. She sat on a slightly sticky plastic stool, wearing a high-end designer dress and heels, completely out of place with the noisy, chaotic surroundings. The gazes of all the other customers drifted towards her. She shifted uncomfortably, clearly ill at ease. I, on the other hand, was back in my element. I expertly ordered at the counter, making small talk with the owner. "Hey, Louie, business is good tonight, huh?" "Yo, Alex, you brought a date tonight? She's gorgeous." Isabella's face flushed slightly, but I immediately corrected him. "Don't be mistaken, Louie. This is my client." The blush on her face instantly vanished. I ordered a huge bowl of ramen with all the fixings I loved, without once asking her opinion. She tried to start a conversation about the company recently. I cut her off. "Ms. Vance, it's dinner time. No work talk." I pointed to the digital copy of the contract on my phone. "It's in the package terms. We have to abide by the contract." She was rendered speechless. The meal proceeded in awkward silence. During dinner, Julian sent me a video call request. I answered it. He excitedly showed me his new food delivery uniform and helmet. "Alex, check it out. Don't I look awesome? I'm going to be the top delivery guy in the city tomorrow, for sure." Looking at his goofy, happy face on the screen, I couldn't help but smile. "Looking sharp. Just be safe out there." We talked for a good 10 minutes, discussing everything from optimal delivery routes to how to effectively avoid bad customer reviews. The smile on my face was one of genuine warmth, something I hadn't even realized myself. Isabella sat directly across from me, watching silently. She saw the gentle smile that wasn't meant for her, and her heart felt heavy, a mixture of sourness and sorrow. After we finished eating, I pulled out my phone and opened the calculator app. The total was $38. "We're splitting it. Your half is $19. I held out my phone with the Venmo QR code displayed. She was stunned. Her net worth was in the billions, and this was the first time she had ever spent so little on a meal. It was also the first time a man had ever asked her to split the bill. That $19 felt more humiliating and distancing than the $5 million check she had once offered. She silently scanned the code and paid. I gave her a wave, my face set in a formulaic smile. "All right, Ms. Vance, the $100,000 package service has been successfully completed. A pleasure doing business with you. We look forward to your next purchase." With that, I turned and disappeared into the bustling street crowd. Not a single moment of hesitation, not one backward glance. Isabella sat alone at that greasy table, staring at the bowl of ramen she had barely touched. Finally, she couldn't hold it back anymore. Her eyes welled up. She knew I had already integrated into a new world without her, and she was left completely and utterly in the past. While Isabella was still debating whether to purchase the silver package, a real crisis was quietly approaching. Dominic Cross, pushed to the brink, played his final, desperate card. Through corporate espionage, he stole the plans for a core technology that Vance Industries was developing and rushed to file a patent for it. This technology was the cornerstone of the company's 5-year strategy, a project into which countless resources had been poured. When the news broke, Vance Industries' stock price plummeted, hitting its trading limit for 3 consecutive days. Partners pulled their funding, banks called in their loans, and panic spread throughout the company. Overnight, Vance Industries was pushed to the edge of bankruptcy. Isabella was at her wit's end. She locked herself in her office for days, working around the clock, holding endless meetings to find a solution. But this was a direct attack, played within the rules of law and business. Dominic was nearly untouchable. For the first time, she felt truly helpless and desperate. Julian heard the news and rushed over to comfort her. But all he could do was stammer, "Isabella, don't be scared. I'll have my dad buy his company." At this moment, such naive words offered no comfort. They felt more like a cruel joke. Isabella finally broke. She asked Julian to leave and, alone in her vast office, felt an unprecedented sense of isolation. Naturally, I was aware of the situation. As much as I disliked Isabella, I detested the smug look of a petty villain like Dominic even more. Besides, if Vance Industries went under, the allowances of my rich kid clients would probably shrink. That would be bad for business. I activated my bizarre network of contacts, built from my time navigating the city's underbelly. There was the construction star, whose father was a real estate mogul. There was the rich kid I'd sent to deliver food, whose uncle was a high-ranking official in the transportation department. And there was the debutante I'd made work in a call center whose best friend was the most notorious gossip columnist in the city. Information from all walks of life flowed together. I quickly pieced together the truth of Dominic's plan and identified the corporate spy hidden within Vance Industries. But I had no intention of being the hero. Playing the savior was exhausting. Investigate your most trusted VP. Isabella received the email. Following the clue, she quickly found the traitor, the vice president who had been with her for 5 years, the one she trusted most. He was caught red-handed. She obtained all the evidence of Dominic's theft of trade secrets and malicious competition. Vance Industries immediately held a press conference and launched a devastating counterattack. Before Dominic could even celebrate his victory, he was taken away by the police and thrown in jail. The crisis at Vance Industries was over. Afterward, Isabella used every technical resource at her disposal to trace the source of the anonymous email. In the end, all clues led to a single public payphone in the lobby of my office building. And security footage clearly showed the only person who had entered or exited that phone booth during that time. It was me. Isabella sat alone in her empty office, staring at the screen showing my calm departure, staring at the name Alex Carter, the name she had once treated like dirt. Tears, without warning, began to fall. At first, she cried silently. Then, her silent tears turned to quiet sobs. Finally, she broke down completely, wailing like a lost child. When the dust settled, Isabella came to my company again. This time, she didn't have an appointment, and she wasn't stopped. The receptionist saw her, respectfully greeted her as Ms. Vance, and led her directly to my office. Her face was bare, her eyes still a little swollen. She carried none of the air of a CEO. She stood in front of my desk and gave me a deep, formal bow. "Alex, I'm sorry." And, "Thank you." Her voice was soft, but utterly sincere. I leaned back in my chair, watching her, saying nothing. In the background, I had my specially prepared soundtrack for this, Chasing the Husband to the Crematorium, moment playing softly, George Michael's Careless Whisper. The music seemed to fluster her, and a faint blush appeared on her cheeks. Will you come back?" she asked, looking up, her eyes filled with a sliver of hope and apprehension. Seeing her like this, my mischievous streak flared up again. I turned off the music and pulled another contract from my drawer. I placed it in front of her. She looked down. The title of the contract was regarding the application to hire Mr. Alex Carter as lifelong Chief Happiness Officer and Premium Trophy Husband for Vance Industries. Party A, Isabella Vance. Party B, Alex Carter. Below was a series of clauses. Clause 1. Party A, Isabella Vance. Must smile at Party B, Alex Carter, a minimum of 3 times per day. The smiles must be genuine and not perfunctory. Clause 2. Party B holds the highest approval authority over the household finances. Approval limit capped at $100. Clause 3. Party A must unconditionally support all of Party B's life experience projects and is obligated to actively participate and experience them together when requested by Party B. Clause 4. Party A shall not interfere with Party B's freedom to associate with friends, especially in regard to normal business dealings with a certain client surnamed Astor. Clause 5. The final right of interpretation of this agreement belongs to Party B. Isabella read through these clauses, which were both domineering and ridiculously childish, one by one. As she read, her eyes grew moist. Then, a puff escaped her lips, and she laughed. It was the first time I'd seen her laugh so brilliantly since I'd known her. It was like the first thaw of winter a sign of spring's arrival. She picked up the pen without a moment's hesitation. But instead of the line for Party A, she signed her own name on the line for Party B. I was stunned. She looked up, tears in her eyes, but a smile on her lips. Before, you were an accessory to me. Now, it's my turn to be yours. I accept. Just then, Julian's large head popped into the doorway again, his delivery helmet in hand. He looked at the two of us, then at the contract on the desk, and asked excitedly, Alex, Isabella, what awesome new project are you signing up for? Can I join? I looked at Isabella, and she looked back at me. We both smiled. This new life, it seemed, could be pretty interesting after all. In a story.